Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name is Tim Watkins. I'm the Vice President of Integrated Solutions here at ECI. Joining me today is a special guest. Michael Glover from Glover Precision is joining me to talk about the history of his company, some of the products and solutions he's used in the past, and what brought him to our JobBOSS² product. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining today. Excited to speak to you a little bit about your journey so far with JobBOSS².
Thank you.
Excellent. So I think starting with really kind of a little bit of background of you, your organization, and kind of what you were doing before you found JobBOSS² earlier this year.
We first started back in 2003. My father started the company as a one-man shop with just one 3-axis mill, and eventually we had an ERP system that was a local-based ERP system, and as the shop kind of grew, we started looking for maybe a little bit of a more updated, better solution. We eventually gave way into a cloud ERP system, but found some things that were not really what we needed, just because the cloud-based ERP system that we went with, we weren't able to change jobs once they were created. And our machine shop is a prototype aerospace and defense type machine shop. And so there's a lot of rev changes. There's a lot of different suppliers that we end up having to use in the middle of a job. And so we started another search for an ERP system and found JobBOSS, which was highly recommended by other machine shops in the area and a couple of other people that we talked to. So that was one of the deciding factors of us moving forward with JobBOSS.
I love it. And that's a very common journey for a lot of our customer base. I'd say half of the organizations that we talk to, like you, are those coming off of a legacy solution like that original on-premise one, or an implementation that didn't work with a new organization. The other half is coming off of what you were originally back in 2002, paper processes, manual processes,
Yeah.
QuickBooks, just a whole bunch of stuff trying to solve the problem of who you are. So when you originally bought that cloud solution that didn't work, what were some of the things in your organization that you noticed that said, hey, I need to invest in a new ERP to really drive our business goals?
You know, one thing we really liked about a cloud-based system was the flexibility that we were looking for, and so that's kind of why we initially jumped on it. But once we were really implementing it, some of the things that really struck out to us, where we needed a change, was the ability to be flexible. The cloud system that we went with, you know, it has its uses for maybe more of a production style machine shop, but not for someone who is constantly doing rev changes. We work closely with our customers and our engineers on the manufacturing process. And so if we see something that's not going to work, or something that's going to drive up the cost of the part, you know, there's a lot of different rev changes to the job. Sometimes also our supply chain, you know, we have to be flexible with our supply chain as well. And so if one supplier is going to be down for maintenance or something like that, we need to be able to change. With the cloud solution that we ended up going with the first time, we weren't able to make any kind of changes whatsoever. If there was even a misspelled word on the work instructions, we'd have to completely close out the job, recreate it, and start the whole process over again. And so from a quality standpoint, that messes up our QMS tracking for how the job is going. So we needed an ERP system that was a lot more flexible, to where we could just do a change on the fly at any point during the manufacturing process.
And I'm assuming you were able to find that level of flexibility as you did another search in JobBOSS², right?
Yeah. It's funny because in our search, we ended up talking to another ERP system that is for a much bigger manufacturing facility, right? So we didn't qualify for their ERP, but they actually recommended JobBOSS for our size and the type of work that we do. And so, and then even during one of our audits, you know, we were using our old ERP system, and we were complaining about some of the things that it did not do. And so our auditor suggested a few, and one of those was JobBOSS² also. So once you start hearing a repetitive recommendation over and over again from other people within the industry, you kind of go that direction.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the strengths that we offer with over 5,000 customers, and really being able to have that prevalence across the marketplace. People know who JobBOSS² is. People feel confident, obviously, in recommending him to you. As you were going through that search, as you're looking for that replacement for the other cloud solution that didn't work, you talked a little bit about the flexibility of not only managing those jobs, but managing those vendors. Supply chain concerns have been growing, obviously, the past 4 years. What were some of the other points that kind of resonated with you about the software and made JobBOSS² the right fit for your organization?
Well, I also like the fact that we can have our technicians and our machinists out on the floor have their devices, and they're able to track their scrap rates. They're able to track their time on each part that they're doing. It's very critical for us to understand, are we quoting properly on each job, and so we can actually see what kind of work is actually going into these parts. And JobBOSS² offers that solution for us to where we can have that flexibility. If there's something that's off, maybe someone forgot to clock out or out of a machine, I'm able to go in and make those changes ad hoc and be really flexible with that. So nothing in the system is so rigid where we can't just change it. And ever since we've started using the system, we always have that sigh of relief that, oh no, this thing's come up, I'm not gonna be able to change it. But when we go into JobBOSS, we can see we can change it really easily. Then that's a sigh of relief for us that we can just make a change and not spend so much time working the system rather than just focusing our time on the actual job.
And that's absolutely our goal. Is we are industry expert that design a software fit for companies like you, primarily those small to medium manufacturing shops and primarily job shops with our JobBOSS² product. And I hear the same things again and again and again. Is I'm not getting visibility into the questions that I have about my organization. I'm dealing with the rigidity of a spreadsheet, or the lack of rigidity of a spreadsheet. In some ways, I'm dealing with the rigidity of a software that's legacy and is making me do things that aren't in the best interest of my business. So that velocity, that ability to kind of drive your business rather than drive your ERP, which I think is a very difficult and timely and cumbersome process. JobBOSS², in my opinion, has always done a very good job of putting a tool that gives you the visibility and the control and structure where you need it, but doesn't tie you down and make you do it with your hands behind your back.
And I've worked with other systems before, in other industries where we're always trying to manipulate software to try and work for us the way we want it to work for us. In JobBOSS², there's really not a lot of manipulation, but actually working the way it's supposed to for a job shop.
It's the fine lines between adaptation, configuration, and the dreaded customization word.
Yeah.
Customization usually means dollar signs, and if the ERP company is too happy, then you're not. So we try to minimize that. We want to configure and adapt it to fit your specific needs as an organization, and something that we've done, again, thousands upon thousands of times. Now, obviously, you have purchased the JobBOSS² product, and you're in midst of that implementation, having implemented other products before to go live. You're obviously not at go live yet with JobBOSS², but early on in this implementation process, what are some of the things that you've noticed about working with ECI and JobBOSS² that you appreciate or kind of different than what you've seen from other organizations?
One thing I really like is the ability to change something throughout the entire system all at once. So there's like a mass edit utility where if we need to change a vendor or an employee or anything like that, we can just go into one place within the system and it changes it throughout the entire thing. So we don't have to keep going into each different module within the system and make the same changes over and over and over again. It actually just is like a blanket change all the way across the board. So if we have a new employee come on or change an employee number or anything like that, we're able to do that in one spot rather than having to change on every single job that we've done with that employee, as an example.
I love that. That's a great point when it comes to the product being designed with logic in mind and intuitiveness in mind.
Mm-hmm.
How has been working with our project team and kind of the professional services team so far, a couple of weeks to months into the ERP implementation?
It's been great. We had our implementation specialist come in and really, for 2 days, we dived into exactly what we needed. She helped us customize our job travelers, make sure we're able to understand the system. She tested us on how we understand the system and how to get help when we need it. If we ever needed help, I'm never lacking in the support from JobBOSS. Usually they're waiting on me to get stuff done, which I apologize for that. But It's been really good, very supportive support from you guys, and making sure, like, if we're getting logged out when we're not supposed to be or anything like that, I usually have 2 or 3 people that are on it.
I love that, and that's something that we really try to pride ourselves is we want to push you in the implementation, but we're going to go at your speed. We're not just going to get in there and rush you to get done, but we want to make sure that you've incentivized. And we always try to. There's two ways to push people in implementation. It's the carrot and the stick. Sometimes the boot.
Yeah.
We have to get aggressive. So hopefully it's just been the carrot so far in your experience early on in the implementation process. Michael, I definitely want to thank you for spending some time with me today. It's been absolutely great learning a little bit about the history of your organization, where you've come from, where you've gone so far in ECI and with the JobBOSS² product. And I know we're going to talk again as you get further along into the implementation to see how that, prep for go live is gone and more of the implementation strategy. And hopefully after you're live, happy and becoming a JobBOSS² customer for a very long time. So Michael, thank you so much. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you for having me.